Lucifer, bearer of light and truth, come forth and partake in the philosophies of the world. Guide us in this truth. It needs to be said. Beelzebub, Lord of Lies, come forth and partake in this rite. Allow us to pierce the veil of lies and reveal the truth. Astaroth, Grand Duke of Sorceries, open the portals in the minds of those who seek truth. May the unholy triumvirate rise. May you rise. In nomine Dinastri Satanae Luciferi Excelsi. In nomine Odo Novus Seclorum in nomine Satanae. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your dark sorcerer here. Favorite warlock, practicing necromancer. And tonight, I wish to bring you something unique. The priesthood has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Long before the Judeo-Christian institutions. They'd like you to think that the priests have been around within Christianity or the Catholic perspectives forever. Truth be told, the first priest ever to be recorded was in First Dynasty of Egypt, the Shem priests. This was long before the Vatican was even heard of. Long before their so-called bastardized son. And you know the interesting part about this is that even through the 10th to the 12th century, we also see a warrior monk known as the Hashishin, the Order of Assassins. They were highly trained in combat, but were religious monks. Second century, we see a priesthood known as the Order of the Black Robes. Long before the Knights of Templar, which were holy monks, but also warriors, highly trained. We call them the attack dogs of the church, because that's basically what they were. They were the bitches of the church doing their work. Later on, we see the Masons and the Masonic Lodge. 16th century, we see the Catholics take over and branch over into other Christianized denominations. From the Codex Gigas, the Devil's Bible, created by a monk in the 2nd century from the Order of the Black Robes, came the Vulgate Bible, which was institutioned separately in 1604. 1604. And from there, all other Christianized Bibles came into existence. But I'm not here to talk about them. No. I'm here to talk about the priests of Satan, those that stand in opposition. I want you to think about what it takes to do what we do. I want you to think about what a priesthood is, what a priest is capable of doing. Prayers, spell castings, rites that are considered heinous by the uh, polar opposite. Things like this scepter. You wouldn't see the Catholic Pope get his hands dirty. To be surrounded by death. They're too close minded. The reason the church has lost power is because of those necromancers, those shamans, such as the Dukan, Indonesian shamanism, the Bokor, Haitian Voodoo, the Marimberos, Santeria, Lucumbi, Quimbanda, Umbanda. Even the Bruo or Brua have gained power. It is said that in the Dominican Republic, every political leader has a Brua. It's true. In 98, 150 to 300 Dukan were slaughtered through personal vengeance, vendettas, and persecution because people were led to believe that they were jinxed, hexed, and cursed. Kind of like every crime of the late 80s and early 90s. Satanic panic were committed by Satanists. How about the burning times of 1604 to the 1800s? The last being in 1937. The point is belief. Christians believe more in the almighty dollar, about corrupting everybody into their ways. They've lost the ability to think for themselves. Church and state is an illusion. America is a joke. Everyone sees it. It's all about money. It's all about corruption. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, right? Well, think about it this way. What if you, the little person, decided to take back your power? You can work with demons. You can work with jinn, the Orisha, the Loa, even your ancestral lineage to learn the secrets of sorcery, to grow as an individual, to learn the knowledge necessary to perform the sorceries needed. I am reminded of the old stories of Middle Eastern practitioners and what they did to learn the secrets behind the belief structures. The belief structures in amulets, talismans, dark totems, religious artifacts, if you will. I have a sword that dates back to the 14th century just behind me, just on this side of me. A bishop was stupid enough to give it to me. You see, he believed in his own righteousness, that he failed to realize that he was handing his church over to a fool named Wade Townley, who literally has ruined the church, to be precise. Catholic bishops. What does it take to become a bishop? Canon law shows it as being righteousness, devoid of ego, completely humbled, if you will. But this is legal aspects, it's physical applications, being an ambassador. But what does it actually mean to be a priest? What does it actually mean to be a dark bishop? A dark pope. Someone who is completely dedicated to the forces that they work with. To the world, someone like me is a fanatic, a zealot. Think about it. Would somebody that spends 5 hours in front of the pulpit not be as equally considered to be a zealot? Someone who decides they believe in a power greater than themselves. The 4 known pacts are the blood pact, which is something quick. You get what you want in that instance. Most tend to regret it. This is because they don't think about their actions. They're not prepared for the long haul, but instead they're like little children who want something now instead of working for it. This is not considered a priest. This is not considered to be a dark pope. No. So let's go on to the second. The Infernal Pact. The Infernal Pact is a pact that aligns the individual with a particular force, be it the forces of darkness or the forces of light. Those that choose to become acquainted and serve only that, either darkness or light. Look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, Scroll of Amrin. Okay? And this brings us in also into the third pact, the Demonic Pact. The Demonic Pact is where a servant, a worshiper of demons and devils, or perhaps angels, or if you serve the white light practitioners, God, for an example, you're serving their angels, you're serving their apostles, their little Holy Spirit thingy, perhaps the Son of God, the bastardized Son. Either way, they require you to serve on your knees. The priesthood of Anubis, Artemis, Hecate, any god of the old world that you can think of that has otherwise been deemed demonic and evil by the church has had followers, practitioners who have made a career of serving that particular entity. A demonic pact at its finest, where you've dedicated yourself to that particular entity or entities, depending on if you worship and serve others, not just the one. And then you have those like me, somebody who has walked away from the world. Sure, I work in the world. I have a job just like you, but I'm not a slave to the world. the dogma, the corruption, the greed. No, that stuff does not matter to me, not even the drama of the world. In fact, nothing in the world affects me because there's nothing in the world that I give two shits about. You see, when you do a dark pact, you're basically letting the spirits know that you are ready to evolve. You are ready to move on. You are ready to do what needs to be done, not just in your life or in your practices, but to fulfill their works as much as they are fulfilling yours. You see, there's a balance to things. For a legion of light workers to rise up, there has to be an equal equivalent, a single dark arts practitioner, a practitioner that becomes the adversary, the accuser. One, most of the white lighters will perish throughout the time. They always do, which is why they rise up in numbers. They believe in numbers. Whereas somebody that's into the dark arts believes in themselves. We work with beings that people fear. We go to places that people fear, the mundane fear. People fear the graveyard. They fear the woods at night because they have been led to believe. They have been led to believe that a devil will steal their souls. Mm. Or maybe that vile witch, if you will, like Baba Yaga, the boogeyman, will snatch your children away. You see, that's what they've been led to believe. So they stay away from these natural currents because they've been brainwashed into a lifestyle of fear. And that fear may motivate them to act in accordance with church law, their little bullying ways. If you think about it, it's monkey see, monkey do. Do as I tell you, not as I do. But a dark priest, somebody like me, no. It's about empowerment. It's about doing the work. It's about doing what needs to be done, facing your fears, performing those arts and mastering them. It has nothing to do with ego. It has nothing to do with pride. It's about putting the work in. And when you work with a spirit such as a jinn, a demon, a loa, maybe even disincarnated spirits, it's about gaining the access to that infinite void of knowledge. Why else would necromancy, according to Catholic Church, standards be the most vilest, number one blackest art ever to be recorded? Have you ever wondered why, when you work in a morgue or a funeral home, you may even be a grave digger, coroner, even? People avoid you like the plague. You have countless dead in India, and those that deal with death are outcasts. They're considered dead already, so therefore they're vile. You working with a demon to evolve, that makes you vile. That makes you condemned to infinite darkness, fire and brimstone, hell. But what pisses them off the most is when you look at them and ask, which hell are you referring to? Gehenna, Jahannam, Soul, or even Abaddon, who's considered to be not only an angel of destruction, like hell, for an example, in Norse mythology, or even Hades for that matter in Greek, but also actual gods, deities, angels. You see, they forget to tell their followers about that. You see, knowledge is power. Even Anton LaVey, wise man of his time, way ahead of his time, he said Satan represents knowledge. He said knowledge is power, and true power is undefined wisdom. Hmm. Think about that for just a minute. When you have power and you have the faith to back it up, there's nothing that you can't do. Do you know how many of the JCI have fled from me personally over the years? I've watched the street ministry cross the fucking road just so they don't have to walk by me. They do their little aerial signature cross things with their hands. They even offer to pray from across the street. But when it comes down to it, you cannot beat somebody who is a believer in what they do. You see, the old school practitioners, they believed so much in the sorcery that they did heinous things, stoning people to death, torture, crimes against humanity is the term today. But they didn't have these laws back in the day. No. You see, they talk about Azazel, the scapegoat. They talk about the unblemished goat that was sacrificed. But wait for it, we don't perform animal or human sacrifices anymore. Really. Every culture, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Druids, even Christians performed human sacrifices. You go to the book of the law, which is the book of Leviticus. You have all the burnt offerings. Now, remind me, where does these offerings come from? Right. Animal sacrifices. Even in Voodoo, there are animal sacrifices. People believed in smearing feces on their faces, drinking the urine of goats, cutting heads off chickens, dogs, even. This is stuff that is still done today. And humans are still offering human sacrifices. Why else would you have a legal system set up the way it is? Worldwide, you have the United Nations, whose duty is to oversee the world, to protect the world. And yet they're doing nothing for Ukraine. The legal system is supposed to protect the innocent, but yet it is the innocent that is ending up in jail. Church and state is supposed to be separate. And yet, Christianized values are being implemented in our legal systems. Think about this for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Think about this for just 1 minute. 666 laws. Revelations 13, the mark of the beast. 6, 6, 6. 6 being the sins of a man. 66 seals. That's 3 score. Look at how much jewelry individuals wear today. Is that not the great harlot? Hmm. Oh, wait. That was supposed to be Jerusalem, right? No, wait. Babylon. My bad. But here it is. You're being lied to by media. You're being led into fear. And it's because most of you are so wrapped up in the drama of the world. Whereas those like me, we've separated from the world. We're not a part of any country. We may have been born in certain countries, but there's only one country, and that's the ones we serve. Belief, believing in yourself, in the power that you hold. You have the power to delve into knowledge, to delve into mythology, folklore, history, and take back your power. A true believer in any religion, you can name them whatever the fuck you want. Murderers, zealots, evil, demonic servants, whatever. When you perform sorcery of any kind, you are taking that step to freedom, true freedom. The first time you pick up a book on any religion, you're gaining the wisdom the knowledge. You are the one that is looking at these beings and saying, "Hey, I'm going to make a pact with you." One of those 4 pacts that I mentioned, and say, "Hey, I'm willing to do your cause. I'm willing to do to further your cause if you're willing to aid me in mine. Let's work together. Let's work together, you and I." You can do the blood pact, you can do the demonic pact, the infernal pact, or even the dark pact itself. And when you do, I will tell you this: you become an ambassador of the spirits. The jinn, the demons, the Orisha, the Loa, you become servants. And when you're truly dedicated, committed to spiritual growth, spiritualism in general, you're going to realize that the world does not matter. Everything in the world is designed to keep you in servitude, living in fear and segregation. The world changes, but people stay the same. People stay the same. And it's very, very interesting to see. Look at the gun laws. It's a violation of the Second Amendment. Look at the First Amendment. Other religions outside of the JCI, the Judo Christian institutions, are being limited. And yet, religious land use and personalized religious acts clearly state that no individual, sect, organization, or assembly has the right to limit or deny. Look at the 14th Amendment. The 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th Amendments have all been attacked just over the last few weeks, the last few months, the last few years, even. You consider the 10th Congress Act. I want to say it's 1010 Congress Act, is what it is. Clearly states that a woman has the choice to either bear a child or to terminate it based off protection and or health. It also further clarifies the fact that no government agency, this means legal system, this means courtrooms, FBI, DOD, Homeland Security, CIA, you name it, if it's a part of the legal system, be it federal or state, does not have the right to interfere. They cannot get involved. And yet, what has transpired? These are things that many of us have seen coming. You saw coronavirus coming by over 10 years. You've seen the government changes coming years in advance. You've seen how media outlets, their only duty is to do what they're paid to do. They're paid to put your ass down, to tell the world that you're a devil worshiper. They bring in these so-called experts that show you this material incites violence. Have you read the Christian Bible? Murder, rape, incest, warfare, conquering nations. Just saying. And yet they're the top religion that you choose to work with throughout, from the legal system all the way up into government agencies and offices. Hmm. I think you might want to get some better role models. And now everybody in this new left-hand path traditions, now it's about being bisexual, transgender, pan. I don't even know what pan is. But they've made it all about sex, sexual orientation. Does anybody remember when it used to be simplistic? You make a deal with a demon, you work with that demon, you align yourself with the forces that they work with, you evolve, you master the arts, and you grow. You evolve. You better your life. You better your clients' lives. The last 20 years, I've seen religions go downhill. I've seen countries go downhill. And yet, Christians are always the first ones to sit there and say, we're winning the war. The only war that you're fighting is against yourself. If we're talking philosophy, and since Lucifer is the lord of philosophies, basically, he is the considered to be the angel of philosophies, the heir of enlightenment. Let's talk about this for just a second. Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War, you have Friedrich Nietzsche, Good and Evil is the name of the book. The Book of Meditations by Aurelius, Marcus Aurelius, and many others, including Pope, all said the greatest enemy is yourself. The greatest enemy is yourself. A wise general would study his opponent, her opponents, long before they engage, learning the strengths, the weaknesses, and you know what? They've already won the war. A rookie would just simply run in and get slaughtered, butchered. Take Russia compared to Ukraine for an example. Putin is a man of war. He's already decided, I'm going to war. Russia is going to invade whatever country and do whatever is necessary because it's got to be done. It doesn't matter how many sanctions the United States and their allies put on him and on the Russian people because of this whole war. The truth is, Russia is having their Vietnam. Think about that for just a minute. When America went into Vietnam, they went in with superior weapons and they got their asses handed to them. by a bunch of farmers with pitchforks. Now look at Russia against the Ukrainian people. Oh, it was going to be a quick victory. Says about 2 months later. Yeah. The world changes, but people stay the same. What was new 40 years ago is being wrapped up in a pretty new bow today. So I want you to think about this for just a moment. What does it mean to believe in yourself? What does it mean to believe in what you do, your cause? Are you willing to lay down your life for your cause? How far are you willing to go within your practices? Are you willing to stand up for your beliefs, to learn your rights and enforce those rights? You see, in the left hand path, there's a practice known as projecting. Projecting. This means projecting your will, not only in your own life, but in the lives of your opponents. Julius Caesar was renowned for this. He would put in he would put his full front against an enemy and then have the center fall back, thus creating the false illusion that the line was crumbling. The enemy would see this and without thinking, rush in. The flanks would then for close behind them, effectively eliminating the enemy's maneuvers, forcing them into either dying where they stand or surrendering. History is there for you to learn by. You have demons that are willing to share history with you. Look at Hugh Mott or Hugh Met, depending on the grimoire in which his name is spoken. He's known as the infernal librarian who answers to Agrippa, who is known as a general. He's also known as the keeper of the sacred tomes. Hmm. Ironic how that happens, right? And then you also have Zaniel, the teacher of witchcraft. You see, demons will teach you, they will work with you, they will help you grow as individuals. They won't do the work for you, but they are willing to work with you if you're willing to do the same. I serve the forces of darkness, and I'm proud of it. I am. Everything that they have shown me, I have applied in the world around me. Philosophy, thought forms, education, knowledge at its purest sense. I guess that does make me a zealot. It makes me a believer, a true believer in working with these spirits. And you know what? That matters more to me than having 100 backstabbers trying to stab me in the back at every turn. I would rather have one good friend than 100 betrayers. Working with these demons have shown me what I can accomplish if I apply their lessons to my life. mastering what they're showing me and getting me to do the work myself. You don't believe me? Call Tractor Supply and ask them about the 4 years that I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, where they couldn't keep a staff, all because the district manager and the store manager had a history of violating company rules and lying to their employees. In fact, why don't you contact Dunkin' Donuts and ask them what happens when a dark sorcerer decides, you know what, enough's enough. You want to lie, you want to create backstabbing, and you want to pick and choose the newbies over the those with seniority. Let's play this game. See what happens when a curse or a hex is actually deployed successfully. Or how about my current employer, who the managers are literally in a state of disarray and chaotic, running around like chickens with their heads cut off over a fucking car being parked in employee parking when you have a lack of staff. Hmm. When rules are being violated in a car being parked is more important. Hmm. Yeah, these are lessons that need to be put out there. You see, a practitioner is the of vile magics is the balancer. We take an injustice and we make it justice. So I want you to think long and hard. Where's your magic taking you? What path fits you best? And most importantly, what do you truly believe in? What are you willing to stand up for? And how far are you willing to go? Because in the end, believing in yourself, believing in what you do, that's going to mean more when history writes about you. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.